The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I'm coming to you from the mean streets of Los Angeles, California today. I am sitting here in my mobile office, my Range Rover SUV. I had an appointment/meeting today out here in Beverly Hills. And my guest today on the podcast is part 2 of my conversation with Zoltan Bathory, the founder and guitarist of Five Finger Death Punch. Hell, through all the discombobulation, all the remodeling, hell, I thought we had went kind of more unleashed on that podcast, but it is family friendly. So you're going to hear part 2 of my podcast with Zoltan Bathory of Five Finger Death Punch today. We're going to get into his martial arts and combat training, how he learned to fly planes, that's a good story, and what got him into racing monster trucks. You guys know that I know a few things about monster trucks myself, and Zoltan said he's a thrill seeker, and he doesn't turn down any offer, no matter how crazy it might sound, so he's going to tell us about some of those offers. We're going to get into some cars and stuff, too, and he and Five Finger Death Punch do a lot for the American military and the soldiers, and they played some of the military bases in the Middle East, including Iraq, so we're going to hear what that was all about. Man, as far as what's going on with me, like I said, I'm coming to you from my mobile office. I'm in one of my cars, my SUV, and I had forgotten, through all the discombobulation, that there was part 2 with Zoltan, and I was going to record a podcast. Steve Austin, navigating the streets of Los Angeles, California, and what happens behind the wheel as I drive through all the cluster mucks that I'm always describing to you people on the Steve Austin Show. Turns out, I thought I needed this podcast on Tuesday. It was family friendly. So I was keeping it family friendly. Only said about 2 or 3 minor cuss words. No F-bombs, no, nothing like that. And for me to be able to record a family friendly podcast while driving on the streets of Los Angeles is a minor miracle in and of itself. The self-control, the discipline, the NPR radio quality that I displayed. Anyway, that's all BS. I'm just messing with you. But I did record a podcast while I was driving. I drove 9 miles, and it took me exactly 30 minutes to get here. From leaving 317 Gimmick Street to right over here in a location at Beverly Hills took me 30 minutes. Believe it or not, it wasn't too crazy of a journey. But I had to correct a few drivers along the way. And you're going to hear that next Tuesday when I drop this podcast. I'm going to record the way home, because on the way home it's going to be right after lunch. And I know all these people out here are going to be hauling ass trying to get back to their jobs from the bar, having their 1 or 2 drinks. So we'll see how my trip goes on the way back to the crib. Man, I wanted to announce something today. Let me put my eyeglasses on so I can read my iPhone here. Damn Siri, I don't know. If y'all have an iPhone, I don't know if those Samsung Galaxies or not, if they got a Siri application that tells you how to get places and all that stuff. I tell you what, me and Siri, we've gotten into a hell of a damn feud. She's giving me real bad directions. I'm not happy with the performance. I might need to upgrade a phone, fire Siri, hire a new Siri. Well, if I get a new Siri, I got to give her a new name, because that's like getting a new dog. My father-in-law, every time he would get a dog, he had 3 names for his 3 labs. And one of them would die. He would replace it with the same color dog that it was, chocolate lab, white lab, black lab, and call it the same name. But you can't do that. Man, whenever I lose Hershey, and I hope that's not for a long, long time, I'll probably get another chocolate lab after I go through the grieving process. And that'll be a long time. But there's no way that I could ever rename my next chocolate lab Hershey, out of respect for the Wonder Dog and all the memories and the joys that she brought me. So, the same thing with Siri. I can't name this damn next application Siri because Siri has pissed me off. So I got to call the new application something else, and they got to answer to something else, because I can't have another Siri giving me directions based on the relationship that we have now. Anyway, what was I going to tell you guys? I had a story for you, actually. Oh, yeah. I got a brand new knife. It just came out with cold steel. Everybody was talking about when we came out with the Broken Skull last year, which is a clip point. It's a badass knife, 3.1 ounces, 4-inch blade, 5 1/4-inch handle, very slender, G10 handles, ambidextrous clip, I believe. That's a badass, high-quality knife. Everybody that reviewed it said nothing but great things about it, and that's how badass that knife is. But it was a little pricey for a lot of people. On the Cold Steel website, a little over $120. Amazon, it's a good price on that knife. It's $75. Anyway, I'm not trying to give you a sales pitch. I got a new knife. This is more cost effective. Again, it's about 3.1 ounces. I believe the handle is 4.5 inches. The blade is 3.5 or 3 1/4 inches. It's a drop point, if I do recall. And the knife comes in 3 different colors. It comes in lime green, it comes in orange, and it comes in OD green. And we call it the working man because this is a working man's knife. Man, the Broken Skull is an everyday carry. The working man is an everyday beater. This is a work knife. It costs $38.94 on Amazon. On coldsteel.com, I don't know what it costs. I haven't been on the website in a long time, but I just got finished looking on Amazon, and the Steve Austin Working Man knife is available on Amazon. The best price I found was $38.94. It's a high-quality damn knife, triad lock. Forget the steel. It's an easy sharpened steel. It's probably not quite as hard as the Broken Skull. The Broken Skull's a badass steel. This one's easy to sharp as well. Drop point, as I mentioned, very user friendly. Ambidextrous thumb stud. I think ambidextrous pocket clip. Where's the damn write up on this thing, man? I'm sitting here flapping my gums. Let me read you about this thing. The Working Man is equipped with our revolutionary triad locking mechanism. It's a slight drop point with a false edge. How's that for blade description? Thanks for the source that just sent me that. Anyway, it's got the revolutionary triad locking mechanism, offers unparalleled strength, safety, and shock resistance. The Working Man is designed to offer high performance at an affordable price. Weight 3.1 ounces, thickness 3 millimeters, blade length 3.5 inches, handle 4.5 inches. And it is German 4116 stainless cryo-quenched steel. Additional features: ambidextrous pocket clip, belt clip, wide lanyard hole. And on the pocket clip, it has my Broken Skull logo on it. That says it's Steve Austin's Broken Skull badass working man knife. Price for the working man, designed for the working man. And the reason we picked lime green, orange, and OD green, because it's the working man, and I like those bright colors. OD green blends in with anything, but the orange and lime green is like a measuring tape. They always make those things in orange or lime green, stuff like that, because they're easy to spot at a work job, at a work site. And if you leave this thing laying around, that's why it's colored the way that it's colored. We didn't need a black handle knife. The world has enough black handle knives. But anyway, enough about all that stuff. It's a badass knife, and it is available right now on Amazon.com and coldsteel.com, and it's a Steve Austin working man knife. Anyway, man, I went next door to get my swell on this morning because I knew I was going to be busy all day with meetings, appointments, and stuff like that. I trained buys and tries today. I supersetted everything and put about a minute's rest in between the supersets. Totally crushed arms. My damn jacks were totally swole up. Awesome workout. Diet is right at 3,500 calories. I upped my caloric intake about 800 calories. It took me a while to get there. You're going to hear about what I've done with my diet probably in about the next 2, 3, 4 podcasts, because I've really got this thing dialed in, and it's been amazing to find out that I've really, really been under eating for my body type, for my body weight. And so dialing that thing has been a work in progress, but right now I got it all dialed in. But I'm fixing to run in and take this meeting. And before we go get to Zoltan Bathory, a 5-finger death punch, let me take care of one of the sponsors who's helping guys all across the great green earth smell better. And that's Hanes with Fresh IQ. Underwear is important. Socks are important. And after a long day of wear, we all know how both those articles of clothing tend to smell. Not good. They develop a certain aroma, and that not-so-pleasant aroma happens to everyone. It is a fact of life. So that's why Hanes invented Fresh IQ, advanced odor protection technology. Hanes with Fresh IQ attacks bacteria and keeps fabric from absorbing the funk and other unpleasant aromas. And everybody's got the funk. Yes, even you, even me. That means your socks, T-shirts, and boxers smell fresher longer. So forget smart watches and fitness trackers. This is the latest and greatest in wearable tech. The underwearable wonder of odor-controlling Hanes with Fresh IQ advanced odor protection technology. And right now you can get 25% off your purchase of Hanes with Fresh IQ products. Just use promo code FRESHAUSTIN. Some exclusions apply. So replace your old ratty boxer briefs, yellow T-shirts, and mismatched socks. There's never been a better time to upgrade your obsolete undergarments with all-new Fresh IQ socks, shirts, and underwear from Hanes, America's #1 underwear. Just go to Hanes.com and use the promo code FRESHAUSTIN to get 25% off your order of Hanes with Fresh IQ. Hanes with Fresh IQ, advanced odor protection technology, the smart way to stay fresh. Everybody's got a to-do list. Drop off the dry cleaning. Pick up some milk. Here's an idea. Let's save hundreds of dollars on car insurance. And the good thing is you don't have to drop off or pick up anything. All you have to do is go to Geico.com, and in 15 minutes you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. Extra money in your pocket? It may just be the most rewarding to-do you do today.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
And now, here we go with part 2 of my conversation with Zoltan Bathory from Five Finger Death Punch. So how does it come to be that, well, I don't know what the word is licensed, or you train military personnel in close quarter combat?
Well, I do that too, right? So
can we talk about that? Or
yes,
what?
you can.
How do you get that? Because that'll happen to everybody.
So basically what happened, when we go on the road, I wanted to train. So because, when I'm home, I go to jiu-jitsu almost every day. And when I'm on the road, then I can't train, and, it's perishable.
Okay, you're at home. How long is that, 2-3 hours?
When I'm home, I
training session.
Oh, 2 hours, yeah.
Okay.
2 hours. Well, it's enough.
I get it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you get
I
beat
can
up.
imagine it's something you need to take a lot of time to...
Yeah, it's 2 hours, 2 hours a day. And sometimes you go twice. You go in the morning class and you go to the evening class, especially before competitions. Because I went and competed too.
Yeah.
So got a couple of medals here and there. Got silver on Abu Dhabi Pro, and So I went and competed. But when I go on the road, I'm like, okay, I need security guys who also do jiu-jitsu, so I can take my mats with me and we can train. So one of these guys that I became friends with him, because the first tours I would just go to local academies.
Yeah.
So every city I would go to the academy and train. And then I figured out, okay, when I became friends with one of the guys who's Hoisei student, really good, and then he also learned from Dave Camarillo. This guy is a very serious black belt, and he is a level 4 hand-to-hand combat instructor for all the ABC agencies and in the military. So that's his job, and then he became our security guy. So since we were doing jiu-jitsu, he was like, hey, if you want to learn military combatives, I'm the instructor for that. He's the highest level instructor for that, so I can teach you that too. So now we were running around with blue guns, the training weapons and whatnot. So I started to learn, military combatives from him. And then once you reach a certain level, then we would go to various military bases, or another instructor comes out, and then 2 instructors, separate independent instructors, have to validate that you are on that level. So basically I passed those requirements for being a hunting combat instructor. I'm going on level 2. So at level 2, technically I can train level 1 guys that are just coming into combat.
But that's hand-to-hand combat.
It's hand-to-hand combat. It's kind of
we're not talking about tactical weapons. We're not talking about guns.
Yes, you're talking about guns, knives. Yes, yeah. Basically, what it is imagine it's sort of based on Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Actually, it's Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, a little bit of Muay Thai, and this and that. So it's sort of mixed martial arts, with considering that there are weapons involved. Like I can't armbar you when you have one hand open and you have a sidearm.
Right.
You're gonna shoot me, or you have a knife. So I have to consider that sometimes you have to train with the backpack on your back, because if you fall on your back, it's totally different mechanics at place. And we have to also learn if there is a knife attack, how you have to, the inside of your arms and your legs are the lethal areas. You have to know that, how to deflect and how to take away knives, guns, and so it's pretty much jiu-jitsu with weapons.
So where'd you get the tactical training at?
Well,
I mean, in Vegas, and I saw a video. You're a big car guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But also, I think there was a video online of you in a Ferrari, and you had your, I think it was an AR-15 or something, whatever it was. But where do you do tactical training at? Do you enjoy shooting? Because I have a friend, that's a 3-gun shooting champion, and he's awesome. He's like a savant with a gun. And so, I'm not really into the tactical aspect. I just like to shoot.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time at the range. You get a chance to, when your turn, go to the ranges and shoot.
The hand-to-hand, the close quarter combat is pretty much what we learn with martial arts with weapons involved, right? Now, when it comes to shooting, I do go to shooting ranges, and when we tour the country, we go out and we pretty much our fan base is military, police, so we go out with the local police to shoot or the local military, and when I'm in Vegas, it's not often we are off the road, but then I go to shooting ranges and of course we shoot. At one point, believe it or not, when I was a kid, right, the military in my country would come to your school and they would give you low pellet guns, right, and they would see who's the best, and they would pick 3-4 guys, and they would offer you like, hey, if you want to come to the military base, we train you to be a sniper. So I was like 11 and I got picked. But I already lived in a military base, but I would go to the shooting range to shoot with the military. So we had this bolt action low rifle, we had the independent scope, so it's not on the rifle, so you can see what you did. And so we were shooting on this range, and eventually I got fired.
Why?
because like I was around 11, right? And it was an open range with a dirt hill on the back, right? So we have a shooting house. When you have 3 levels of windows, you can standing, middle, kneeling and laying down windows, and there is like a glass case where the military guys are sitting in. There's a captain sitting and watching the range, right? If there is any automatic weapon on the range, then he stands behind you with a gun in his hand, loaded, and tell you turn 45-degree angle, I will shoot you. Because that's the rule on the range, military range. They don't want a guy go
That's
crazy.
a rule, you don't mess up.
Oh, yeah. So, but I was shooting the low bolt actions. And I got bored because it wasn't like the targets. You have to go out and change it. It didn't have the range yet, right? So you have to wait until everybody finally stops shooting, and you have to cease fire, and everybody goes and So I already destroyed my target. So I'm bored. I'm like, okay, oh look, a bird, and it's an open range. Bird was flying, and I clocked the bird. Captain runs out of the office, starts screaming, "What the hell?" Screaming at me. Don't ever do that again. Okay. 2 weeks later, right? Same scenario. I'm bored again. I'm 11 at this point, right? I'm bored. My target is destroyed already. I'm like, oh, look, another bird. Boom, I got the bird. And I watched the captain. He wasn't in his office, but he was on the other side. I didn't see him coming in, and he saw me. So, oh my God. So he started yelling at me. And basically he was like, do you understand that behind this dirt hill, there's a town? So if the projectile goes up, it has to come down. You can kill somebody in that town with your bullet, even if you're shooting up. I'm like, are you out of your mind? And the reason he fired me, because I was a little cocky, 11 years old. I look at him, well, the projectile is in the bird. And he lost his shit on me because I was so arrogant, like I couldn't I couldn't imagine I would miss, right? And he was like, okay, that's it. I'll take a shooter who's much less than you, but not an idiot. You're out of here. And so they fired me. So I had a nice future in long range assassinations, but I threw it all away. My career went sideways right there.
How proficient were you at calling the wind and making the adjustments on the scope?
It was well, the law, it's a bolt action. The scope wasn't on the gun.
Okay.
We had an independent scope, so you don't. and fairly protected too, so I didn't have to calculate. And it's 11. It's like you just start kind of shooting. All the guys that stayed eventually became snipers. That's what I meant by I threw it all away. I could be an assassin now, but it didn't happen. Now I have to live like this.
Have you always been, and watching all your videos, I mean, y'all always have some cool cars. I mean, the videos to y'all's music that you make almost like mini movies. Mm-hmm. Have you always been enamored with cars?
Yeah.
Exotic cars? You into muscle cars at all?
Yeah, I both. And, I always had this theory about that. I tell you the truth, it's like, I'm a utilitarian in to some degree, so I look at it this way, and a fairly, I would consider myself a spiritual man. So there's the idea of material goods, right? That a lot of spiritual people would consider it as fairly shallow. Like, do you really need a Ferrari to go to the grocery shop? No, you don't, right? A Prius is good enough to go to the grocery store. You don't need it. But I always had this view that when I was a kid, and all of us as kids, we dreamed of this. Like, when I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna have these Ferraris and these crazy cars. We all told as little boys to ourselves that we're gonna grow up and we're gonna have that. Would you lie to your little kid, right? When you grew up, right, you made yourself a promise. You made yourself a promise, sort of, that when I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna have that. And so when you get to the point that you can actually have it, you still have the decision to make that, do I really need this? And I always believe that, I'm going to accomplish this cycle. When I get to the point when I can get it, I'm going to get it. And the reason I'm going to get it is because I taught myself something. I taught myself that I was a little kid. I promised myself that I'm going to have this, I'm going to do this. And everybody thought I was crazy. So two things happened. A, I proved that I wasn't crazy. And second, I taught myself that you dream it, you work for it, and then you have it. If I made up an excuse and I say, what, I don't really need this, then what happened, I made an excuse. So the end results, how your mind works, you learn that you worked, you believed it, you worked hard, but then you didn't get it because whatever reason.
Right.
So I always believe that you have to accomplish the cycle. So, when it comes to those cars, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get it. And even if after a while, you get bored, like some of these cars you can't really drive long distance, and you start to realize like it's not really that comfortable, and and then you sell it, but then you have it. So I ended up with I have British cars now that are more of a luxury car than a sports car. But that's how I looked at it. Like, what, I love cars, and I'm gonna accomplish the cycle. I'm gonna teach myself that lesson that you work hard, you get it, instead of giving myself an excuse.
Are you a pilot?
Well, I am. I have the hours. I actually don't have the actual pilot license.
Okay.
But I'm flying for like 6 years now. I have probably like 250 hours. You need 40 hours to be a pilot, private pilot. So 40 hours in, you can take your written test, and then you can. So technically, I could take my test. I just never got around it. I have to do the ground work. So basically, there are some books that I have to know and learn. If somebody said like, "Hey, end of the world is coming, let's go to the airport, get a plane," I can go to the airport, get a plane, and fly it.
What are you qualified to fly?
Single prop.
You're gonna get your license?
I'm gonna get it, and it would make sense. Usually,
it's one of my things on my bucket list to do, but I keep putting it off.
It's actually really
helicopter.
Easy. Helicopter is difficult. Planes are fairly easy. It's really really interesting because you get in a plane. The very first flight lesson, actually the first flight lesson I had in a fighter jet. Just because I'm an idiot. So let's go a fighter jet, right? I rented a fighter jet. That was my first lesson. But then I went to the single prop, and so I get in a plane, and the instructor goes, "Okay, well, you just push the throttle, full power. When you get about 60, 65, you slowly start to, pull back the yoke, and then the plane will fly itself. Don't pull it too much. Just remember, it will fly itself. You just have to adjust just a little bit. That's it." Okay. So I did it. Oh, this is easy. All right, now we did a couple of circuits. Now you landed. I'm like, "You mean you landed?" I said, "No, I know how to fly a plane. You landed." So literally, my first 30 minutes in a plane, right? Yep. He's like, "Okay, just aim at the pavement." I'm like, "Okay." We put out the flaps, I aim at the pavement, and it's like basically it's very simple. What you do, you kind of aim at it, and then when you're right there, you pull out the power, so the plane sort of puts itself down. you don't really put down a plane. It puts itself down. You kind of just adjust little things. So flying is not like when you see in the movies, like people turning and none of that happens. It's really tiny small adjustments. And literally I took off and landed in perfect landing in my first 30 minutes of actually flying. It's much simpler than you think. The hard part, I would say, the radios, the navigation, that you have to learn that,
That's what bothers me. What about this deal with Harrison Ford a couple weeks ago, about a week ago? He landed and he said, "Hey, was that plane supposed to be underneath me?" He was like on the wrong lane.
I mean, I don't want to recirculate like rumors that are not true, but I think he crashed like 7 times or some crazy numbers altogether.
Well, the one time he crashed, there's a helicopter going overhead.
I think something like that.
But the one time he crashed, it was by my wife's house.
Big airport.
Over in Venice on Penmar Golf Course.
Yeah.
And he put down, it was an old, whatever plane, because he collects planes.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, he crashed it. Now all of a sudden he's on the wrong runway, landing strip, or whatever the hell it was, taxiway.
Well, that's
What's
what I
up
mean.
with that?
You can be an experienced pilot and still, you go to an airport that you're not familiar with, especially bigger airports. It's really confusing. Or,
Well, that's why I want to learn to South Texas in the middle of nowhere. So I ain't got to worry about the hustle and bustle of all the traffic up in the air in Los Angeles. It's just too much shit up there.
Los Angeles, difficult. Las Vegas is difficult. There are some airports that are extremely difficult. There are so many runways, different, from different directions, taxiways. You have to, if you're not familiar with the airport, it can give you trouble. You have to work yourself up. I, for example, instead of starting in Las Vegas, right? Actually, I came out to California to Santa Barbara. So I would stay up in Santa Barbara because they have a smaller airport, and it's not so restricted, airspaces. So I could practice and run around without being too much, concerned about air traffic. So I would recommend to anybody if you live in a metropolitan town, then a bigger town, then just find an airport that is outside. If you have to drive a half an hour outside of town, find a low airport that is not, the main traffic, so you start learning there, and then you work your way up.
Well, that's still on my bucket list. Now, I'm sitting here on Zoltan Bathory's boat out here in Marina del Rey, and before we talk about how you ended up splitting time between Las Vegas and his boat here in the marina, I got to say thank you to one of the sponsors who let me do this podcast for free twice a week, and that's TrueCar. If you're in the market for a car, then you need to check out TrueCar.com and the TrueCar app. TrueCar gives you the price and information you need to feel confident about your purchase. When you register with TrueCar, you'll see what other people in your local market pay for the car you want. From there, you can connect with a local TrueCar certified dealer and enjoy a more confident car buying experience. TrueCar shows you real pricing on actual inventory, so you see competitive pricing offered to you by TrueCar certified dealers for vehicles that are actually on their lots. TrueCar makes car buying easy, no matter if you're looking for a brand new or a used vehicle. There are over 500,000 pre-owned vehicles available from TrueCar certified dealers nationwide, and there are over 13,000 TrueCar certified dealers. And over 2 million cars have been sold to TrueCar users by the TrueCar certified dealer network. TrueCar users save an average of over $3,000 off MSRP. So when you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar.com or download the TrueCar app to enjoy a better car buying experience. Some features not available in all states.
All right, it's March, which means it's time for the madness. And it's crunch time in the NBA. So we got it all covered on the big podcast with me, Shaq.
And we're way more than just sports, Shaquille. So be prepared to laugh, folks, as we bring you the best basketball coverage, the biggest names in hoops, like Kevin Garnett, Chris Paul, Dick Vitale, Grant Hill, Chris Webber, and many, many more.
The big podcast with Shaq. Check us out with new episodes every Monday at PodcastOne.com.
When you came here, you ended up in New York and then finally ended up in Las Vegas. And now you got a boat here in Marina del Rey. How'd you end up in Vegas? And how'd you decide to buy a boat in Marina del Rey?
Well, I started in New York. I lived in New York first. I wanted to be in a city that never sleeps. And actually, I did like New York, but I started to become a New Yorker. The way you become a New Yorker is that the bums start asking you for money because you have this New York face that don't talk to me New York face, right? So first I really enjoyed New York, but then I started to realize I became really uptight and really, I'm not going to mention who, but there was a moment when I was in St. Mark Place in Starbucks, and there was a very famous celebrity right in front of me in Starbucks, right, trying to get a coffee. And so he steps to the the counter and goes like, can I have a next, just like that. I'm 100% they knew who he was.
Right.
But it just next, and I'm like, oh, I mean, New York is brutal. What I liked about New York, that all the things that you do happens instantly. When you call a company, you don't even say your name. You tell them who you want to talk to. Joe Smith, please. That's it. If you're like, hey, I'm from Hold, it's. I like the pace that they don't kid around. I really like that. But I started to become a New Yorker. When I would come to California to see my friends, everybody's like, dude, you gotta chill out, man. You're so wind up. Everyone's like, we do it tomorrow, man. What the hell, right? So I moved to California, and I had a really good time here. And once the band started to take off, then I was like, you know what? I'm in California. I love California, but I'm paying California taxes and all the premium price for everything, and I'm not here. I'm on the road for 250 days a year. Yet, I'm spending all this money here. So I'm like, you know what? And the city that never really sleeps is Las Vegas. And I went to Vegas a few times, and I really liked the suburbs. When people think of Vegas, you think of the Strip. The suburbs, man, it's all green, golf courses, everything, pools, everything brand new. Like, wow, man, this is really nice. So I moved that from California to Vegas, and because I'm on the road anyway. But I missed California, so I missed the ocean and the management, label. Everybody's here. All the things I deal with are here. So I'm like, you know what? I always wanted a boat. This was the impossible dream.
Right.
Like this. I didn't dream this. I had ambition, but I didn't think like, man, I'm gonna have a yacht. I never thought that ever gonna happen. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna dive in, and I'm gonna get one. And pretty much, my aim was that most people just buy a smaller one to see how they like it. And I had this idea, like, look, if you have a small one, you're never really gonna like it because it's small. But if you go for the biggest one you can get, and that's kind of what I did. If you don't like that, then you're not a boat guy. And it was probably my best investment, so to speak, of the best purchase. It's not an investment. This is a.
I was thinking about getting a boat.
You burn money. I love it. I wake up and my dogs are seals. It's barking out. Here you come out to the porch and it's the water. I have this feeling of I can go anywhere at any time. With this one, I have about 500 miles range. So if I want to go to Mexico right now, I can just go.
Okay, but this is a pretty big-ass boat. Do you have a crew member that comes over here with you to help you run things? Because if you're going to moor or pull up to something, that can be a hassle.
Yeah, it's about the size. Like it's 60 foot. It's about the size that I can drive. So if I was solo on it, I can go anywhere and I can do all that. But when I have guests, sometimes we take it out. We go to Catalina Island or we go down to Redondo Beach. Then I have a maintenance captain that is overlooking the boat all the time. So the captain comes in and drives the boat, so I can just hang out. And then he also manages the crew. So I have people who clean the bottom, clean the boat, washing the boat, mechanics, electricians, whatever we need. Then, then he manages all that. And as I said, if I want to take it out, this is the difference. I can take out the boat. Usually what happens when you get a boat, if you don't use it for commercial purposes, technically the waterways are really funny because there's a certain tonnage, and this boat is far from that. Like big commercial boats, you need a license. For this one, you don't.
Right.
The only thing is that if you crash it and you didn't have a captain on it, the insurance will not cover it. But as for but now I have it long enough that now the captain signs off on it. That okay, he's good to go. He's good to drive. So as long as I don't use it for commercial purposes, I can take it out and I can go anywhere. There's no,
A lot of people say, hey, man, the best 2 days of buying a boat are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. Because a lot of times people, it's a novel idea or a romantic idea that, hey, man, it sounds good, just go buy a big-ass boat and you come out a couple weekends, you hang out, and then you never end up showing back up. So, all the maintenance costs eat you up, so you end up selling it.
Yeah.
But you're able to enjoy this thing.
Oh, yeah. This is probably
How are you out in the waters trying to navigate this thing? Catalina Island, you got some GPS, you just set the coordinates?
Yeah, with GPS, I kind of like to drive it. I can put it on autopilot, but I like to drive it myself, jump waves sometimes. You have to watch the weather, obviously. I learned that once I had this idea, like, oh, this is pretty windy, let's take it out in the wind. Yeah. Oh, man, I regretted that in about 2 minutes. I mean, it was maybe like 8-foot-ish swells, and that threw around this boat. I mean, it's a big boat. It was throwing around us like nothing. I'm like, oh my God. We just turned right back. I'm like, okay, that's it. You have to respect the sea. It beats you up. Especially, this is like a sports cruiser. So there are displacement hulls, like those V-shaped boats. Those are going deeper, and, they can go slower. This one, I have to get up to speed. So I have to cruise around 25-ish. Then it hydroplanes, and it goes over the waves.
Is this 2 diesel motors?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have two Caterpillars in it. And so you hydroplane, but if it's choppy, it beats you up. Like, I don't know if you ever tried one of those speedboats. Man, you have a kidney replacement after that.
We rented one, and we got out as soon as we got past the breakers over at the end of the marina.
Yeah.
That's when the white cab's having his rougher nails. It was me and my wife. And I said, hey, man, I said, pour some Bloody Mary. We were cruising out, and all of a sudden, we got rougher and shit. And she said, turn around. Yeah. And we came on back. It wasn't a boat like this. Being in the water this much or having this boat, you decided to did you ever consider scuba diving?
Yeah, you're an
adventurous guy.
Yeah, I didn't get around it. Actually, I was invited by PADI. That's the company that gives you the certification. I was invited to your facility. I just couldn't figure out schedule-wise, but that's definitely in there. I did my parachuting. Actually, the special Persian command took me to parachute. That was pretty cool. These are the best guys with flawless records. So I'm like, okay. I'll live.
Did you start off with a tandem, or you just did it yourself?
You have to do it at tandem first. It's by
and then you jumped out yourself.
And you have to do I think 3 or 4 tandems, and you have to do some paperwork, and then you can jump on your own.
Are you a solo jumper?
I didn't jump my own yet. That's next.
Let me know when you go do that.
Yeah?
Man, I know. I see no reason to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Right?
The tandem thing, whether I'm hooked to an expert or not.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
But you're a thrill seeker.
Yeah.
You're an adrenaline. Is it an adrenaline junkie, or you just like experiencing things?
I guess it's like experiencing. You know what? I would say this, the adrenaline thing, right? Actually, I can say that I'm adrenaline junkie because that's how I do these things. That once you commit, like say I go to a jiu-jitsu tournament, right, and I have to fight. So there's a guy, and we're gonna fight.
Yeah.
Right. There's nobody can save you. This is you and him. And sometimes I want to get myself angry, and I can't. Like I'm totally relaxed, And I notice this when I sit in the monster trucks, I know that I'm gonna jump things, and C6 and C7 will compress, and all kind of things can happen, and somehow everything gets quiet. Like to me, that's the moment where instead of having this adrenaline rush that, oh, this is gonna happen now, I kind of relax. Like, okay, I accepted my fate, sort of. Like, I'm gonna do this, and there's no turning back. So when you jump out of the airplane, it's the same feeling. Like, I committed, so now I want to experience what actually gonna happen. When I fight or I drive a monster truck or whatever crazy stuff I get myself into, what happens is that feeling of I committed, and now I'm not completely in charge. Now life takes its course, and it gives me this piece of, okay, let's experience what happens. So I don't actually get that adrenaline rush of.
But you know that you have to execute and do whatever the task at hand is to perfection.
Perfectly right. I think that's exactly why. Also, when I go on stage, there are shows. There's 100,000 people, and and when people ask me like, do you get nervous? And I'm like, look, the song goes exactly the same if it was 20 people or 200,000. It's the same mechanism that you have to execute. So when I have to drive the monster truck, it's like I know that I have to be conscious, and I can be stupid. I can't make mistakes.
Well, let's talk about the monster truck, because I used to have one back in the day. It wasn't my monster truck, but man, it was 15 minutes before a live television show. And, I got to Monday Night Raw. I didn't know we were going to do a monster truck gig. And I said, hey, man, what are we doing tonight? And we go, well, you're going to crush the Rock's Lincoln Town car. Vince had just went to the dealership that day. Not Vince, but someone spent 30 G's on a brand new Lincoln Town car. I mean, that wasn't no rental. That wasn't no junker or anything. That was a brand new car off a showroom lot. Guys taught me how to drive a monster truck, and sure enough, they said, hey, go live, and we crushed the car, and I drove it into the arena and raised hell. I'd make some monster truck appearances in South Texas after having my neck fused up, and it was a blast. What made you decide to, hey, man, let's go drive monster trucks? They're a blast, but they're a beast to drive.
Oh, yeah. This thing that I'm doing all this crazy stuff, it became sort of like a...
Yeah, monster truck's not crazy, but when you jump on that throttle, that is pure adrenaline.
Well, the one I'm driving is, I'm I'm with Jimmy Cretan's team. He's like freestyle world champion. And, I mean, he's historically he has the highest horsepower from all the trucks that you see out there, the pro trucks. He gets the highest horsepower out of his engines. He's a robotics engineer, and nobody knows how he does it, but I'm running like 1800, 1700 horsepower on those engines. So his trucks are out of control. With certain tires, it will just rip off the tire. But the way it happened, that on social media, I'm always posting these pictures like, oh, here I am in a fighter jet, here I am doing this, that, So it became a thing, like my bucket list, and, a lot of people following it, and they look at it like, okay, this guy is living life how it should be lived. And so now these opportunities coming to me, that people are like, hey, do you want to, strap yourself to a rocket? Yeah, what's the chance of survival? 50-50. Oh, good enough. Let's go. So it kind of came like that. Somebody came to me. Chris Kurtz used to be a producer for Monster Jam, and he had a Monster Jam show in Sweden, from all places. We ran into each other in a TGI Friday in Sweden, and he's like, hey man, I'm a Monster Jam producer, and I know that you do all this crazy stuff. I can get you in a monster truck. I'm like, well, let's get it on. And I came home 3 months later. He hooked me up with Jimmy Cretan, and he has like a bunch of trucks. He has 6 trucks and a course in his house. Like he lives in a place where he has his own course, and basically he taught me drive. And I did pretty good because, when it comes to this, like this is the world champion. I went out there. I'm not going to impress him. There's nothing he doesn't know what to do. So I was like, I'm going to pay attention. And he told me, like, race car drivers come out here, people who are professionals, and they all crash the truck. Right. Because they all think that they know what they're doing, but it's a totally different animal. And so I was just like, let me see the course first with one of your driver. And I was listening to the throttle. I was watching the speeds and whatnot. Okay. And I just copied everything they did. And after, being out there 4 or 5 hours, Jimmy was like, you know what? You get a knack for this. It's like, because you pay attention. That's the biggest problem. That it's very simple. Pay attention. Execute what you need to do the way that you need to do it. It's very simple. If you try to invent something, you'll crash. So he's like, if you want, I can train you more and you can maybe race. Fast forward 3 more months, I was racing in California, professional monster truck race. Came in second out of 8 people. So I'm like, all right.
I was watching you strapped in one of the truck. Are they using Hans devices now on your neck? Is that mandatory?
Oh yeah, I have Hans device. I also have, I have flaps. So on both sides of my seat, because the Hans device stop you from your head to bob up and down. But it doesn't really stop you from bobbing to the side. So my head, basically my helmet is held by 2 little flaps. It's almost like when you sit on an airplane, you can feel these flaps around your head. So it's one of those, but it's metal. So I'm really strapped in there. You can't move your head. I can only move my eyes.
But was it rougher than you anticipated it being? Because when you're jumping up on those cars, with those tires...
The surprising thing was that I thought that I was destroying things. I thought like I was flying 100 foot in the air, and then later on you watch the video and I'm like...
Really? Yeah.
That's it? I didn't even make a bump, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I did. So
because when you sit in it, it's so tall, it's so loud, and it's just so angry. Everything is so intense that you think like, oh my God, this was a great run. And, you really think you did those things. And then I'm looking at it, and I got off, maybe 2-3 foot from the ground. I thought like it was at least 30. So you start to learn like, okay, I really have to push it. But now when you sit in it, I'm looking at a school bus, right? A stack. Yeah. And I'm running at that thing, and I got it, and I'm thinking like there's absolutely no sane explanation for why am I doing this, why am I here, and I take off, and I'm flying, and you have about 2-3 seconds sometimes in the air that you can think about like, why am I here exactly, why am I doing this, because this is gonna land, and I'm just hoping that it's gonna land on the tires.
What were you thinking? You were pretty much just doing donuts on one of your gigs. Can't remember which speedway you're at or which arena. Your 4-link broke and you end up rolling it.
Yes.
Like, what did you tell? What's his name? Jimmy Cretan. What? Yeah. So what do you tell the guys? God dang, man, I'm sorry, I crashed the truck, or
they rip up these trucks. I mean, when they go out there, they know that they can destroy the truck. Yeah. So the crashing is not an issue because they all crash all the time. I mean, it's literally things are breaking left and right. I mean, The things that happen to these trucks are physically insane. So, but I never crashed before. So for them, it was like my crash cherry, sort of. Yeah. So they were like, sooner or later, you're going to crash and you're going to feel how it feels, because a lot of people quit right there. Because once you crash, you feel like, oh my God, this is not a joke. Like, imagine if you just sit on a chair that's 12 foot tall and you just fall on the side. How is it going to feel? Now, add 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's a car crash. There is no ifs and buts about it. So what happened, I made a big jump, and my four-link bar, bent. So I didn't know. And as I took that first turn, immediately buckled, and I just rolled the truck, right? So what happened, I was upside down. I see the alcohol fire is clear. So if a truck is on fire, you can't see it. So that's the first thing. Like, you're looking, I don't feel the heat. I was completely conscious. I shut down my engine. I shut down my my fuel, everything. By then the ambulance come. Everybody looking. Are you okay? I was laughing. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's cool. And everything was fine until I got at the straight on the truck. I got out, waved to the crowd, and I go back to the pit. And when I go to the pit, I tell the guys, man, I can't believe that, it's like, I don't know how I missed the jump. And they were like, you didn't jump. I'm like, what? So I realized I have a missing 3 seconds of memory, literally. So I thought I was okay. I was upside down, but I did have a low concussion, but I have a 3 seconds that I don't remember because a four-link bar buckled the truck. So I just rolled. I didn't even hit the stack, because I was going to hit the stack and jump. I thought that I hit it, and I just landed bad. But I didn't even make it, because on that turn, the truck just rolled because of the bar was bent. So that 3 seconds moment of when it happened is missing completely.
So how often are you trying to pursue that? Or is it just was a fleeting thing? You did it for a little bit, and now you're just going to chill here in the boat? You guys are going to go on the road in May to support the album.
So, I mean, it's kind of the thing is it's available to me, One of the truck is technically called Knucklehead. It's my truck. Well, Jimmy owns it, but it's my truck, in quote. And any time that my schedule allows, then they love me to be there. So it's pretty much a schedule thing. So whenever I have a whole, okay, here's a show that I can do, independent shows, Monster Jam shows, the big corporate shows in stadiums, it's almost run like Disney. So I can't really just go in there and start to run my truck, but every weekend there's a show somewhere. So we just arrange schedules, and
okay, so we're sitting there talking. May's a couple of months away. What are you going to do between now and getting ready to go on the road? So I'm going to probably go to there's a jiu-jitsu competition in Dubai. So I might go to that. That's a very prestigious competition. And if I don't compete, I have a low protege that I'm helping him with as much as I can. Take care of his entry fees for the competitions. He's a prodigy. I know him since he was 12 years old. He was a little kid, 12 years old, and he always was upset because he got his ass beat in jiu-jitsu class. By the time he was 16, I couldn't even touch him. Right now, nobody can. I mean, he's a prodigy. It's incredible. So he's going to compete, so I might go with him. But I mean, do you get bored? I mean, are you chomping at the bit to get back on the road? I mean,
no, not necessary. It's the kind of thing that grass is always greener. When you're on a road, then you want to go home and just chill. When you're home after a while, when you get off the road for the first week, I have that feeling.
You're jonesing.
10 o'clock comes, and I'm like, something is not right. Yeah. I should be somewhere doing something, like that, because that's your schedule. But right now, we are off the road for about 2 months now. So now a different schedule comes in. I'm going to probably go to Hawaii a little bit. I'm going to go back maybe 1 or 2 more times snowboarding. I snowboard, so I go up to usually Colorado. So before the snow is over, I want to go up a couple of times. Probably gonna jet ski a little bit as the weather clears up. I'll get you to jet ski.
Man, you just go over and borrow my jet ski. I need somebody to run it. And it's badass. It's 310 horsepower. It's as bad as jet ski in the marina.
It goes. It's a Kawasaki, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, nice. Does Jeremy ride motocross?
Jason.
No, Jason, because Jason has a Kawasaki guitar.
Yes, Jason has a Kawasaki motocross bike, and he has a Harley, maybe 2. Both Chris Cale also rides. Yeah, those guys are motorcycle guys. I lost too many friends, and I was kind of too crazy on motorcycles. I'm like, I see my girl, oh my God. she's crotch rocket, and I'm like, I don't know, too many of my friends didn't make it on motorcycles. And
hey man, let's talk about you just I was following your Twitter account. You just did a charity event. It was bowling for was it autism?
Down syndrome.
Was it
Down syndrome? Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're really involved with that. You guys are really involved with doing stuff with troops.
Yes,
and
troops and military and police. Yeah. So we have there's an organization called Badge of Honor. Every time, the last tour and probably the upcoming tours, what happens when we sell a ticket, a portion of the ticket goes to this foundation. Basically, they are a foundation where a police officer dies or anyone gets injured, anything happens to them, then their families don't really know what to do and how they get their benefits. And so this is an organization that if a police officer, especially when a police officer dies, it goes in there. They have their lawyers and they have the family to get all the benefits and everything that has to be done. They have have the families, the widows, and if they have kids, to move on with life and get everything that they're supposed to get. So that's an organization. I'm a chairman of development for the Home Deployment Project. This is a Las Vegas-based nonprofit. So we are sort of finding homeless veterans. There are a lot of them, but some of them are not candidates. We're looking for the ones that want to get back into work, want to, survive, want to, So this way it's more personal. Instead of just pouring money into an unknown organization, this way we know, like, okay, we got 6 guys off the streets. They were homeless for years and years. Now they have low apartments, they have jobs, they're surviving, they're getting back to, to life and reintegrate into society. And then there are a couple of more, different organizations, all military, helping vets with PTSD and whatnot. So. And traumatic brain injury. So there are a lot of guys have massive problems, and we hire as many veterans, my personal assistants, all military vets, because and if they don't have a job, I invent something to do, so I can help them and give them a job.
Man, one of my favorite songs that you guys did. Now it's a cover. I like all y'all's original stuff, but damn, y'all's cover of Bad Company. And you guys were on tour in Iraq 2010 when y'all filmed a lot of the footage over there. Just that video and y'all's take on that song is one of my favorite songs.
Nice.
So how was your time over there? And then how was the decision made to cover Bad Company? Mm-hmm. And how did you approach that?
The reason for the cover was that actually it's not easy to find a cover because, you have to find something is a little bit off genre, like we can't cover Metallica because or Pantera. You can't do better Pantera than Pantera does, right? Or better Metallica than Metallica does. That's them, So it makes no sense for another metal band to cover it. So we always have to find something that sort of off color a little bit, but we can cover it. And not that you can, generally, Bad Company, you can't really make it better, but at least we can give our own.
Well, that song was 30 years old, and now with you guys' metal take on it,
it's you have to pick a song that you can make it your own.
Y'all did.
You know what I mean? And that's the goal. So that was the reason. Lyrically, it has to make sense that it fits, our band. So it was hard to find something, and the reason we covered the song because after the first record, we started to play pretty big places and headlining our own shows. The band got successful pretty quick, and we didn't have enough material. We had one album, and we were a headlining band. And it's like, man, we have 50 minutes of music. We have to play an hour and 20. So we started like, okay, we need to play some covers, and this was one of the songs that we covered. And believe it or not, when the second record came about, we were like, well, let's record it because the fans asked about it so many times. And I was actually personally, I was kind of against it. I'm like, I don't really want to do a cover. And we recorded it anyway. And once Ivan recorded the vocals, then I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. He did really good. And I'm like, okay, this is really nice. And then I was really happy for the song. And so that's how that song came about for the troops. That relationship was from the get-go. So I think it's our attitude, the lyrical content, this is kind of, a little bit of that alpha lifestyle, be a man sort of thing.
Right.
Fight for the right things, don't be a whiner, get up, go, there's this overall attitude for the band. And, look, I fought all my way from the communist country to here, so I can't be anything else but what I am. And the only thing I know is how to fight and step forward, inch by inch. But that's my, that's who I am, and all the other guys came from, nobody came from a rich family, so everybody was either homeless or, fought for really the position that they can do what they do in life today, right? So we kind of all have this attitude, and that resonated with the military immediately, because that's also the guys who were like, no, I'm going to go and fight for my country, or I'm going to do the thing is that I think is right, So that resonated immediately. So the first shows, we started to have this military presence, and it was really bizarre. Imagine we playing in these low clubs, and maybe we would play like Bad Company, and I see guys in uniform sometimes, or without uniform, saluting, and I'm like, that's really bizarre. And then they would come to us and say like, man, you guys are the the biggest band in the military, like everybody loves you, everybody talks about you. And sooner or later we start to get the invitations, and the USO came, and we got these opportunities. We played everywhere, from Okinawa, Japanese naval bases, to Germany, England, all over the world.
Awesome.
Usually it's not on a schedule, so when you go to the website you don't see it,
Right.
because it's for the military. It's not it's
Right.
not like look at us. It was for the military. So many times, you would see the schedule and there's a hole, and it's a possibility that we are actually doing a military tour. And then we got the invitation to go to overseas, and that was an experience like, wow, because we flew into Kuwait. That's their staging, and this was, they were still shooting, there were still, there were still issues, and we went to Iraq, flying in with, full battle rattle. We were in helmet, chest plates, everything. And it was an unbelievable experience, and they were shooting. I mean, the sirens were going off, and, but the reactions, I mean, there were a couple of really funny things. We were playing in Baghdad, I think it was Camp Liberty, and we were joking about that there were no stage lights, because they were like, well, we can't really light it up because you're a target immediately, and so we were just joking about like, there's no stage light, but it's still the best show we ever played, right?
I forgot all about that. Yeah, you're right.
Two things. Oh, you've been there too.
Yeah.
So basically, all the soldiers are standing, like everybody's very, polite and standing in lines. We are a rock band. It's supposed to be a mosh pit,
Yeah.
And we are playing the first maybe 2 songs that we got through, when finally the special detail officer that was with us runs across the stage and stage dives. Like, he barely landed from the standing still soldiers. All of a sudden, all you saw is dust. And a mosh pit of like 2,000 soldiers. And I remember, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I remember when Ivan is like, okay, guys, stop. Anybody who's a grenade, get the hell out of the pit. Just, people were spilling on stage with sidearms literally on them. I mean, it was insane. And it was the best show. And then they bring 2 fire trucks and they turn on the sirens. So we had stage light. It was amazing. And then, so we finished the show, and the last song, all of a sudden, and first we thought, like, I'm like, really? Because a helicopter comes right over the stage, right? And now it's drowning us out. And we're looking, what the hell, man? Like, really? You didn't know that there's a show? And then he started to shoot flares. And we were like, oh my God, this is the best pyro we ever had. I'm like, Gene Simmons beat this. Kiss has the best pyro, but this is something else, So that was amazing. We went around 7, different bases. Or taxis were Black Hawks. I mean, it's an unbelievable experience. And the soldiers, they knew we didn't have to be there.
Right.
And, I was talking to the general, and he was giving us these coins and, 4-star general coins. And the colonel that works with him has like, man, I'm with him for 20 years. I never got one of those coins. I'm like, man, you're making me feel bad now. I'm like, you can have my coin. I'll give it to you. And he's like, no. I have to be here. You don't have to be here. And because you don't have to be here, I want you to have that coin.
I got to ask you a question, since you was in the merchandise business, from a design standpoint, when you came over from Hungary to New York, considering the 5-finger death punch merch, do you have a hand in that as far as the creativity? You toss in any ideas? Do you have a team that's making this stuff and they run it by you like, that's cool, do this? Or Tell me about that, because I love merch coming from the background that I came from. Obviously, it's a big part of a live touring band. As big of a group as you guys are, it's a big part of the business.
Yeah.
How hands-on are you with that?
The very beginning, actually, I designed our merch. So I was designing our merch. I had like a partner, another graphic designer. Two of us would do all the merch, and unfortunately passed away. And since that, I was doing the merch, and so up until maybe the last 2 years, I was designing pretty much most of the merch, and then it's just there are so much things to do. There are, busy enough that the merch company that we work with, they have designers, and what happens basically, that comes to me, I approve it or disapprove it, I make them change certain things because that's my profession, so I can do the merch myself. It's just a question of time, and sometimes they send me a design that's pretty good, but not there, and I'm just, okay, send me the file and I'll fix it, and then I would just fix it. So it's hands-on, as in like literally I sit on my computer, design it, draw it. Same with the album covers. There were the next album cover, I was working on it, and we had maybe 2 album covers that I didn't do, but most of them, I did. So literally I draw the things and, I pencil it out, put it in the computer, color it.
But see, the Five-Finger Death Punch just lends itself to cool stuff.
Yeah. That name, actually, all the good names were taken. That's why it's called.
I saw that. All the good names taken.
Yeah, basically. And, all the .coms were taken from any good name. Well, basically what happens, Five-Finger Death Punch came from, Kill Bill. I was watching in a movie theater and it had that 5-point lotus punch. I'm like, that sounds so ridiculous. It should be a band name, right?
Yeah.
And then we changed it. It couldn't be Five-Finger Lotus Punch, would sound weird. So changed it to Five-Finger Death Punch. And actually decided that, okay, that's the band name. Because I really thought, like, if you have a band name that sticks out, because it's just so weird, like, it's like, what? Everybody's gonna go, what?
Yeah.
Either they like it or hate it, but definitely everybody gonna go, eyebrows up, like, what? And the day of I came up with that name, I went to House of Blues in Los Angeles. I ran into Rita Dimebag Darrell's widow, right? And we were good friends, and I'm like, so I run into her and it's like, hey, how you doing? What's happening? I'm like asking her how she's holding up. It's like, so what you up to? And I'm like, well, I just started this new band. It's, what's the name? I'm like, Five-Finger Death Punch. And the face she had, like, what? The confusion, like,
yeah.
What? And I'm like, exactly, that's why. It's like, she's like, why? Like, because that reaction you just had. Because everybody, like, what is wrong with you? So she was laughing. I was like, oh my God, that's the stupidest name I ever heard. The next time I ran into her, we were playing on Download Festival in front of like 100,000 people.
Right.
And, she was standing on the side of the stage, and then we're like, this is why. So it was a kind of a closure. It was pretty funny. Like, I get you.
Man, it's funny because when I first came into WWF, they called me the ringmaster. After 6 months of that, I knew it wasn't going to work. And so, anyway, Stone Cold Steve Austin was born, and I'll never forget Scott Hall, who was going to become Razor Ramon. It was on the DL. They're fixing to start announcing me. No big fanfare. Mm-hmm. And they said, he came up to me and he goes, Stone Cold Steve Austin, huh? What's that all about? And well, you'll see. It's just an idea I have. Mm-hmm. It caught on pretty good, and it worked out for me.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna ride off.
It did.
I'm gonna ride off in the sunset. Enough talking about me. You guys are gonna go on the road in May. FiveFingerDeathPunch.com is a website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
ZoltanBathory.com is your website.
Yes, that's correct.
On Twitter, you are at
Zoltan Bathory.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere. Same in Instagram. Everywhere, just Zoltan Bathory.
And so what are you going to do in the meantime? How long will you be on this boat in Marina Del Rey?
I'm going to be probably like a week. I'm going to be here. Then I go back to Vegas a little bit, come back here. Usually every other week I'm here. That's one of my favorite places.
Well, it was funny because, man, I said, I got really turned on to Five-Finger Death Punch. I was telling my producer, and she goes, I've heard of, I know those guys, or she knew someone connected to y'all. And he says, believe it or not, Zoltan Bathory has a boat in Marina Del Rey. I was like, bull. No, really. So when I was coming out to this boat, I was like, is it going to be a really good boat or a little bitty boat? It's a great big badass boat. So it's good to meet you, and I appreciate you having me out here on your crib. Anything else you want to plug?
Well, we reconnected here. It's really funny that we never met, but somehow we crossed paths. Like, this is the third, fourth time now.
Well, so next time in town, if you eat sushi, give me a yell. I got a place.
All right.
I'll catch you down the road.
My favorite.
All right, everybody, give me to go home. Q's time to wrap up his podcast and ride off into the sunset. But I want to thank Zoltan Bathory of Five Finger Death Punch for inviting me over to his yacht and sitting down and shooting the breeze for about an hour and a half. It was a damn good conversation. Enjoyed meeting them. Big fan of that band, and I'm going to give you another video to watch. A few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, I recommended you guys check out their cover of Bad Company. It was when they were on tour in Iraq over in 2010. That's one of my favorite videos that they've done, one of my favorite songs. But got a different one for you, one that I really dig, and it's one of my favorite songs that they got now. And let me see, what is this one on? Is this on Got Your Six? Their new album? It is from... Got Your Six. Damn right. I am right. And the song is Five Finger Death Punch, Wash It All Away. And this is the explicit version. About 37 million views. I dig the song. I like the way Ivan Moody sings it. I like the guitar work. I like that heavy vibe that they got. So, like Zoltan and I were talking about, they've been around since 06, 07. I just got turned on to them a few months ago. Five Finger Death Punch. Check out Bad Company and check out Wash It All Away and check out all their songs, man. They got high production values on all their videos. Lots of cars, lots of desert stuff, lots of real cool stuff. Anyway, enjoy Five Finger Death Punch. And moving on, before we close up the show, let me throw out a plug to ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin. They got all my Broken Skull Challenge, Broken Skull Ranch shirts. And let me throw out a plug for my new pocket knife made by Cold Steel Knives. It's the working man. I was talking about it on the open of the show. You can find it at Amazon.com. That pocket knife is under $40. You can also get that knife and all the other great Cold Steel knives at coldsteel.com. And I want to say one more thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. And you can find all my sponsors at PodcastOne.com. Just click on the Killer Deals button at the top of the page and then click on the Steve Austin Show banner. So thanks to Hanes. Go to Hanes.com and use the promo code FRESHAUSTIN to get 25% off your purchase of Hanes with Fresh IQ products. And just a reminder that the Steve Austin Show is also a participant in the Amazon Associates Program, an affiliate advertising program designed to provide a means for me to earn fees by linking to Amazon.com. You can link to Amazon at PodcastOne.com by clicking on the Killer Deals button at the top of the page. And coming up on Thursday, powerlifter Tom Finn came down from Aurora, Illinois. He's a prison guard turned beer-drinking Austin 316 T-shirt wearing powerlifter. But he ain't any old powerlifter. That goddamn guy's out of his mind. He does some crazy-ass stunts of strength. One of the strongest guys in the United States of America, and he's going to tell us all about all this shenanigans coming up this coming Thursday. Hey, the 60-second AP News headlines are coming up next. Until then, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
I'm Mick Garris. When it comes to horror, you might know me as a writer, producer, and director. But I also love making people open up. I'm getting together with the most fascinating people in fright filmmaking. I'm going to pick their brains and find out what they know. But if they've got any secrets they're determined to keep, I have ways of making them talk.
Download new episodes of Postmortem with Mick Garris every other Wednesday at PodcastOne.com, the Podcast One app, or you can subscribe on iTunes.